In this video, I'm talking about distinct brand assets. What are they and why are they an asset? Why are they so important for marketers? A distinct brand asset basically consists of any visual or auditory or verbal element that relates to your brand. Particularly right now, I'd just like to think about logos, the unique logos that different companies have, or the distinct color schemes that they might use, or thinking about their slogans or their taglines. And these distinct brand assets are designed, of course, to help potential customers understand that brand. Ultimately, the goal is that these brand elements combine to make your product the intuitive choice for people. So thinking about visual elements as one particular example of a distinct brand asset, particularly the logo, this is often one of the first things that people might see when they see your brand. And so I'm giving you an example here with the Geico lizard. If you were to see an advertisement where this lizard pops up, immediately in a very short amount of time, you would visually perceive this image and you would instantly know quite a bit of information about that company. You would immediately associate it with Geico, and you would associate it with 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. That's why brand elements are an asset, because when you present them to people frequently enough, along with additional information about your product, like your company name and a short description of what your company does, then that visual element essentially can pack all of that information in a brief amount of time. So if you consider two different companies who would have to pay to present their brand element to 100 people, and one of those elements people are completely unfamiliar with, they don't know that it's associated with that product, but the other one is previously associated with a product, like the Geico lizard, then the effectiveness of the brand element for the product that was previously recognizable will be much greater than the effectiveness of the brand element that's unrecognizable. And that's the importance here, because when you present information to people, let's say it's a visual image on social media, you have a very limited amount of time to get their attention. If you have presented your brand elements to them frequently, then they'll have some prior recognition of what your company is, and all of that information can be conveyed instantly within that short amount of time. So that's something that big brands like Coca-Cola can do pretty readily, because they presented their logo to people so many times that when you see it, it brings up all that additional information about the product. And you can think about the power of having these distinct brand assets in the context of memory formation. So humans are a visual species. We primarily process information through our visual system, or that's where we generally seek to receive information. And that means that advertisers generally try to reach people through visual pathways. We have billboards, we have print ads, we have TV commercials, social media posts. That means that typically advertisers are trying to reach customers through the visual cortex. So it will enter the brain first through a large area of cortex that's in the back of the brain called the visual cortex. Now, in order to have a understanding of what the product is, to make it the intuitive choice, then you have to associate that visual response to the logo and those brand assets to other more complicated features, which generally involves language. So the slogan, "Just Do It" by Nike, for example, or the Geico slogan I mentioned earlier, 15 minutes. But when you pair your visual element, your visual logo up with that language, with the slogan, then you're creating an association between the visual areas of the brain and these other areas of the brain that are involved in more complex aspects like language and concept formation. And so presenting your visual brand elements frequently paired with your logo and your language will create associations between the two, and those pathways in the brain will be strengthened. And effectively, when people experience one of those pieces of information, it will prime the other brain areas for the other piece of information. And that's the critical piece here. If you have created an association between your logo or your brand character and your tagline or your slogan, then presenting that quick visual image of your logo or your brand character will convey much more information. And that means that your image that you pay for when you pay for a spot on social media to present your advertisement to a potential customer will be much more valuable, and you'll get much more bang for your buck if you develop those prior associations between the visual piece and the more complicated aspects of your brand, because you're conveying much more information in a short amount of time, particularly in that short amount of time that people typically look at visual ads on their social media, which is not very long at all. And that's why developing distinct brand assets is so valuable for marketers. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And we're posting regularly about how we apply psychology to marketing and how we embed behavioral science into our creative work here at Intermark Group. So hit the subscribe and the bell if you want to stay tuned about our post, because we're posting regularly about these topics. And hit the like if you like this, and feel free to share it on your social media. And thanks for checking this out.